When Olympic wrestler Andy Rovat arrived at the University of Michigan in 1998 for his freshman year, he was told that he should be ready to be sexually abused by the team doctor.
You just accept it because people told you beforehand this is what's going to happen.
And sure enough, for Andy, it did.
Anytime you went in there, he was fondling you, and whether he's laying you down on the table and he's just touching you like you're completely naked, you're bending over in front of him completely naked.
The doctor, Robert Anderson, worked for the university from 1968 until he retired in 2003. He died in 2008. Hundreds of others have come forward with similar stories as Andy. This week, former football tight end Chuck Christian went public saying he endured unnecessary rectal exams in the late 70s. The former student athletes are suing the university, claiming school officials, some of whom were actually former athletes themselves, knew that the abuse was going on and did nothing.
There was an institutionalized cover-up, but when you have athletes that were in that situation and then they go and they work for the university, that's a cover-up because they knew what was going on with them and their teammates. And then they go and they basically sell their soul to the university and they don't say anything and they don't push to get this doctor out. That is, to me, the epitome of a cover-up.
In 2018, Michigan opened an investigation after former wrestler Tad DeLuca described in detail alleged sexual abuse by Dr. Anderson in a letter to the university. DeLuca had alerted his coach back in 1975 and again in 2018. DeLuca's attorney read part of that letter during a recent press conference.
The University of Michigan wrestling team doctor felt my penis and testicles, inserted his finger into my rectum too many times for it to have been considered diagnostic or therapeutic for the conditions and injuries that I had. It was 1974, and I was 19 and in my junior year. In 1975, Tad wrote a letter to Coach Johansson. Something is wrong with Dr. Anderson. Regardless of what you go in there for, he always makes you drop your drawers. For more than 4 decades, he has carried around the humiliation, guilt, and shame due to Dr. Anderson.
Last month, the university president apologized to those who were harmed by Anderson and created a hotline for victims to report their abuse. The school is offering counseling to anyone affected by the alleged misconduct.
It's critically important and that people come forward and alert us to misconduct, past or present, so that we can take action.
Chuck Christian, now a 60-year-old artist living in suburban Boston, says the emotional scars he suffered from Anderson's annual physicals stopped him from going to the doctor for prostate issues. He now has stage 4 prostate cancer. Andy Rovat says he experienced the same reluctance to see a physician because of the abuse.
Why? Why would I go see a doctor? These people, to me, I was lumping everybody into this category. I said, these people, they don't know anything about health and wellness. They're just out there to do whatever they want to do. And so just psychologically, I can't do it. And I know I need to get over that.
All right, smoke coming out of everybody's ears now, right, as you're watching that? I mean, beyond outrageous. And these are schools, right? These are schools where children go to grow up and become men, become women, in this case men. Let me bring in Ted Rollins. Ted, to me, the biggest slap in the face was when the University of Michigan said, oh, you've been abused by one of our doctors. You know what we'll do? We'll set up a hotline and get you some counseling with one of our doctors.
Yeah.
Really? Like, why would any of these people go to a University of Michigan doctor for some counseling? Why would they trust anyone associated with that university? To me, that's like I can't even believe they have do they have mirrors? Can they hear themselves speak?
Yeah, it's absolutely tone deaf. You're right. This case is disgusting on so many levels. It goes back 1975. This young wrestler, Tad DeLuca, writes a letter to his coach saying, we got a problem with Doc over here. He did this, this, and this. DeLuca was disciplined, and the doctor kept working for 40 years. Can you imagine that? 40 years. So there are hundreds of kids that were abused, all of them thinking if they come forward, because they were warned. If you're a freshman at Michigan and you're an athlete, you're warned before you go see Doc, get ready, he's gonna do something weird to you. Just get ready for it. It's unbelievable that this happened. Literally, kids were going in there with a broken elbow, and Doc's having them drop their drawers and turn their head and cough. It's unbelievable that this happened for so long. He's dead. But these victims want not only their story out, but they want the university to pay.
And they should. And they absolutely should. I mean, if that letter was written back then, think about how many victims could have been saved if they took any action. But they went after the accuser. The accuser gets disciplined, and the abuser gets another 40 years. The other thing that's counterintuitive here, I think for a lot of people when they hear this story, is these are Olympic wrestlers, University of Michigan football players. You're talking about the biggest, the strongest, the best of the best. And I guess sometimes we forget that it all starts when they're just freshmen, just kids out of high school.
Yeah, kids out of high school. Andy Rovak, the person we interviewed, mentioned that. He said this doctor is the overweight, disgusting human being who had this power over these very powerful young men. It was fear. You fear you're gonna lose your scholarship. You lose your spot on the team. If you go and complain about Doc Anderson, that everybody knows he's a little weird, just take it. It's also heartbreaking to know that these kids then, even as adults, have trouble getting medical help. And who knows what kind of issues that has led to in their lives moving forward.
All right, we'll keep an eye on that lawsuit, but outrageous behavior. Now it's the second school in Michigan. Unbelievable. Ted Rowlands, thank you so much, sir.